Hey, welcome back to ABTG. Today we're talking about Spider-Man 3. That's right, the third Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire. We're following up the 1 and the 2. That's how it works. That's how things happen. This was the least good of the 3. I have to say it. I have to admit it. Everyone was right, but not really. I feel like this film gets so hated on. I was expecting it to be absolute garbage. Like, I was expecting this thing to be just complete ass, but it's not. It's not that bad. It tries to do too much. That's the thing. There's a lot going on. There's too much going on. And I think that's what kind of drags it down, but it really isn't as bad as what the internet makes it out to be. You see, story-wise, this third film continues to deal with the romantic issues that Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker has. It continues to deal with the legacy of the villain, the Green Goblin from the first film, and it also, as every superhero film needs to do, introduces villains that will fight and combat Spider-Man in the climax of the film. Problem is, Spider-Man 3 also does a whole bunch of other shit, like introduce a secondary love interest that I don't think was necessary, and it also kind of dives back into the lore or the established events of the first one and plays with it, toys with it a bit, modifies them, and I'm not a fan of that at all. Also, the film doesn't just give us the one villain, it goes further and kind of gives us two. And the way it was executed wasn't the best. Let's be very clear about that. The acting is still very, very strong. The visual effects, although I do think they weren't quite as good as the second, were still very effective, especially for the time in which this thing came out. The music, the score is great. It's, as usual, masterfully directed by Sam Raimi. He handles the quirky, funny moments and places them next to these very heavy, emotional moments or the thrilling action scenes, and he blends all that very well. It's great, so big thumbs up for him. I do really just think that this film tried to tackle and tried to handle too much. That's what drags it down. Ultimately, it does all of these things, but doesn't do them as well as it could have. The second film has a very clear villain with a very interesting backstory. It manages to flesh out who that person is, and it does a very good job of it. It goes in depth into who that character is. It does like kind of a deep dive, but this one doesn't do that. It tries, I think, but it tries with so many different characters and so many different personalities of these different characters that ultimately it kind of just fails into nothingness. That being said, is it a bad movie? Is it an actually bad movie like the internet seems to want to make it out to be? No, it's not. It's the worst of all of the Spider-Man I've rewatched so far, so it's not as good as the first two Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, and it's not as good as the two MCU Spider-Man movies, and it's definitely not as good as Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, if you want to, lump that into there. I haven't rewatched The Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2 yet. Well, it's the worst. But it's not a bad movie, which is interesting. I'm quite surprised that every Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man not being a hero that I particularly enjoy, every Spider-Man movie is good. Well, this one's not good. It was alright. It could have done better. What do you think of Spider-Man 3? Is it really as bad as the internet makes it out to be, in your opinion? Am I just being stupid by saying it's alright? Thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.